Hello and good evening to today's stream/video. So today we are on part 2 of our build for the Imperial light cruiser that we started on the last stream already. I hope you guys are just as motivated as I am for continuing this build. And so let's start straight into it by switching to our other setup. And let's get going. So as you can see, the last time we already built up quite a lot of this build. So we are on step 4 at the moment. And that's where we are going to start off. First, let's look a little bit at what we have built so far. So this is basically the main structure of it. It looks kind of neat already, and we can already also mark out that some of the proportions will probably not be um, done in the best way they could have been done, but we will see how the finished build looks like. I cannot guarantee that this stream we will finish it, but I'm sure we will make quite a lot of progress. Alright, so let's start out with bag number 4. Hello, good evening to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's empty out everything and start with our 4th building step. So I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit more. Maybe it's better to see which parts we are placing actually. And let's start off with the build. On the right side corner, you can also see the building instructions. We are on step 153 at the moment. So let's get going. Let's just look really quick what we are actually building up here. So it will be the top side of this. So both of these side panels here, whoopsie. And on the back here, there will be also some more plating to probably hide these technic elements that we have placed in the last step. So this up here will be the bridge later on, I think. I'm rather curious how it will look like. So we are getting some of these 2x2 round pieces in black, which will be placed on both sides. Oops. It's a rather large build already. So as you can tell, it takes up quite a lot of table space. So we're doing some of the side plates, some nice detailing held in place by these sideways stud connections. Cool. I guess I should probably turn it around so that we are following the instructions. I feel like I have it turned around for you guys now because I have my camera mirrored probably. So it will probably fit better actually if we leave it like this, I suppose. Yeah. Some nice red pieces in the middle. I guess that's just build up. Add some parts over. Nice way to use it, I guess. Yeah, we're getting quite a lot of these dark bluish gray grill pieces here. It's basically just the build from the other side, mirrored. In general, there's quite a lot of little pieces in this side which can be used for greebling on like bigger starships and stuff like that. Like all of this stuff is kind of useful. Like I mentioned in the beginning of this build, the last episode, that I think in terms of the parts that you're getting, it's quite good. But at the same time, the parts are not at a great value because this set is quite expensive for what it delivers, I think. We're doing the little side builds for the TIE fighters next, which I absolutely loved. It was one of the reasons I actually wanted to get this set. There are these little one by one trans clear round tiles, which have a print on them, which resembles the TIE fighter cockpit. I think that's such a cool part. I actually loved it. And then the outsides are just 2x2 jumper plates in black. I think it's quite cute. Let's see if we can focus on it. And there are, I think in all, there's 3 of these, but I'm not sure. I think you can launch one up from the front of this up here with the little mechanism. But at the moment, we are fitting the back ones up here. As I showed you earlier, there is a jumper plate on here, and these side builds basically just allow us to place them quite conveniently here, and they are stored. I love this little feature. I think that's really cool. So we have the second TIE fighter done. Let's see if we can focus. I have to say I really love this apart this build. I think this is my favorite part about the whole build, to be completely honest. Just these little attack fighters that we are placing in the main ship. Alright, next up, now that we basically finished the backside hangars, we are adding quite a lot of plating to it. As you can see, we already have one of these 6 by 10 plates placed, and there is just a second one that goes up here, snaps in place, and then a 2 by 8 plate up in the front as well. I love the fact that there's so much light bluish gray in all these plates being used, because they are rather nifty to have and useful in lots of different applications. Alright, so now we're starting to place some bricks around the actual bridge of the ship, like on the base of it. First to hide all of this technical construction that we have, and later on it will be a little bit more detailing from what I've seen when I looked through the instruction manual. That's most of the time. At this point of the build, it's very much the same on both sides. Like, I mean, you can see there's a lot of parts that are basically just mirrored in this, but that's always the same with this sort of starship builds. It's less repetitive than, for example, the Star Destroyer, that's for sure. Alright, so up in the front there's also some cheese slopes that you place. Next here. Alright. And in the middle, I forgot a 1x4 brick. Alright, step 161. We are continuing with the backside build-up. There's some cool sort of angled pieces. I like these. They are usually used for example, for tower constructions in the medieval sets. I've known them from. But they're quite versatile. As you can see here, we're just doing some detailing for the backside towards the engine compartment here, which will be placed back here. Cool, now we're doing the side detailing for these sort of, how are these actually called, I guess? Some side vents? Probably the wrong word. The docking ports, I guess. It's just consisting of 2 light bluish gray wing pieces, and in the middle there is a wing brick, basically. So this is the same size, this triangular shape. Alright. As this going here. So in the back there's a hook piece, and up front it is this sort of sideways hook, the negative version of it. Whoops. Let's place that. And then because we have placed this inwards hook piece here, we can put a sideways mounted piece up top, basically, which will snap into place. First, let's build up the greeveling that is sitting up top. All right. So now we have some sideways paneling, which just sits up top through this hook connection. And because on the other side we have placed this black round brick in here, it's just perfectly aligning itself here. All right. So we are putting another layer of plates up top. Let's see, what are we actually needing? I want a 6 plate here. All right, as you can see, that basically just stacks up a lot of these wing elements. First, these bigger ones, and then some of the smaller ones. So these are 8 studs long, and these are 6 studs long. See if I can focus on that. Yes. Oops. All right, this is the part we are placing. Nice, rather rigid now, and gives off quite a cool look, I think. Let's show it a little bit. So I think this angle is matched very cool with the hinge plate. That's a rather unique detail. And you can see the little hanger for the TIE fighter. All right. So up top, there is more decorative pieces in form of tiles and jumper plates mostly. Let's do the outside borders before we fill it in with the other bricks. Okay, so this concludes the first side. Now let's turn it around, shove all our stuff a little bit together, just to match the way this looks like in the instruction manual. Alright, so the second side is basically just a mirrored version of what we just did on the right side. Alright, so this is the mechanism where this side panel gets hooked into again, just to mention that really quick. The rest is probably not too relevant to talk about. So besides while I'm just putting together the mirror side, I just wanted to wish all of you a great day. I hope you had a good week, and I very much hope that you will have an awesome weekend. So now we are hooking the side panel in. Just mentioning again, there is this hook piece, which we just hook into here. Plates off this whole side, and well, I would not really know any other way to handle this delightfully. I think this is actually really well built. Alright, so we did the plating on this side too. Now it's this bigger side panel that is going up top. Alright, let's see. Does this hook into like this? I think yes. Should be fitting properly. Alright. Let's put some more tiling and detailing up top. And then we are finished with our mirroring of these side panels here. Alright. Alright. So this is the other side being done completely. by now the overall shape of it is getting out quite well. Well, it's just a bunch of triangles, I guess, but at least it's something, I guess. Up top there's a whole bunch of these dark bluish gray tiles in 2x1. I like how they used jumper plates for creating like this half stud of spacing in between. This looks kind of awesome. I just don't really know what it's supposed to be. I'm not too deep into the technical lore of this ship, so can't really answer that, but I like the look it gives off. Alright, next up we are having a little side step to build. I guess for most of the time the picture does not need to be zoomed out so far, because I think the detailing probably helps a little bit more than just having the overall or like the overview out all the time. So the side build basically consists of some really useful slope pieces that are these 2x8 slopes in light bluish gray. Wonderful pieces. For example, you can build wagons and stuff like that for train sets really well with these two. And it's always an awesome piece to get. Alright. And for the front side, which you can see is left out yet, we need to build a little bit of a side step to the side step, I guess. Just this piece here. So it's a G-slope up front, a side connector, and on the bottom it's two by two plates. These plates hook into the opening we created up front here. And this is how it's supposed to look, I guess. So yeah, I guess. Let's see how it looks on the actual build. First, I am just gonna build the second side of it immediately. Let's start the factory production. Alright. So, this is the other side being finished. And now, as I mentioned, these are the side covers for the docking ports, I suppose. These are supposed to be. As you can see on the front, there is this sort of little design that we put in a few steps ago. And up top, these things just go up top, and there is that connections on the bottom. Just gonna put in the second side just as well. All right. Maybe not completely all right. Maybe I just misplaced that side a little bit. Terribly sorry. Just by one though. Let's see how we're getting this apart. I always just need the right angle. Alright, cool. So this is how it's supposed to fit. Let's see. So it just goes over here. There's like quite a lot of empty spacing into here, but yeah, I guess it's quite hard to actually build in this sort of size without having to sometimes accept a little bit of a better of a worse look. Sorry. Oh, and by the way, as always, we're getting the one by one pieces extra, so maybe you can. Yeah, it's kind of hard to show you without it being placed on a part. So let's just use the brick separator for it. We get a third one of these TIE fighter cockpits already. I think we might actually get a fourth one because we are building three of them. So always a nice touch to have these in a little bit of a spare part. Oh, and also they want us to push through these two Technic pins up here. Probably we're going to mount something on here and the next step. Yeah, looks like it. Alright. So let's keep this here. I'm just gonna grab the fifth step that we are already on. As you can see, I'm just gonna show you what's in the back. We are building mini figurines. If you have maybe catch this. Alright, so now that we dumped out everything in this package, let's continue with first building up the minifigurines. Alright, so I actually have to look how this minifigurine is called. Oh, I sadly cannot read it properly because it's just this little bit far away. But I'm just gonna show you. So our first minifigurine has both printed arms, printed legs, and a printed torso. Sadly, no printed arms, but they are matched to the head piece, which has two prints. And also the backside of the torso is also printed. You also get um, one of these blaster rifles here, which which will get a little bit more detailing. I just wanted to show you the original piece first. There's this sort of chrome colored lightsaber grip that they include, but it's not actually chrome, it's like this dark bluish gray chrome mix. And it looks quite interesting on here too. And also the hairpiece. Alright, let's just put it into the ship for now so that we have a place to actually put them down without constantly tipping over, I guess. Alright, and the second minifigurine actually is quite a cool mold for the headpiece, from what I can already say. See, or like the accessory for it, the helmet piece. And oh, cool! In this case, we are getting both printed arms and legs, as well as a printed torso. Let's just see where we have the head for our minifigurine. So let me just show you. That's actually a really cool minifigurine. So we have both I can, well, we have everything printed on it, basically, which is super cool. And we have a double print on the headpiece to first give it like a sort of surprised look and a more confident look, I guess. And then we are also getting this accessory helmet in orange, which has a. I'm not sure if this is actually a print or if this is a dual molded piece. Let me just check that really quick. Maybe I can see. Uh, I would guess it's just a print on it, but it's sort of a glossy color, if you can tell. Let's see, maybe the light can catch it right. Oh, looks pretty cool. The weapon is just the same as I showed you on the first one. So you are getting two of these lightsaber shafts, basically, and the same sort of chrome color, but it's not really chrome. I'm not really sure what it's called. Gunmetal gray, I guess. It's shiny though, so it's cool. All right. So now that we have that out of the way, we are continuing our bridge build-up up front here. Let's see how we can actually fit this in a way that it matches the instruction manual for the video. So, well, this was completely exactly the wrong way around. Whoops. So I guess, ah, for you to for it to look like that, I just have to tilt it completely the other way around. Ah, wonderful. All right. Sorry for that confused moment right there. uh, all right. So first, we are adding some parts up here. Some 1x4 bricks. And then we follow up the side panels here with some greebling, I would say, or some detailing, you could call it. And that's done on both sides. All right, so I nearly forgot one plate. This is just basically mirrored on both sides. It's like one of these 1x8 tiles and a grill piece up here. All right, so it's getting quite substantial up top. What? Oopsie. I'm a little bit clumsy today. I'm terribly sorry. Well, I'm a little bit clumsy all the time. But I should definitely apologize for it. All right, up here, there's some of these inverted rails. They are being put right here. cool. And there's this 2x4 slope piece in light bluish gray. Also, it's very useful. Sadly, there's only one included to create this sort of falling look to the back. And looks nice though with this sort of incline up here. Oh, never mind. Here's the second one. Awesome. Second 2x4 slope piece. Ah, we're even getting free in this step. Quite cool. Hi, Buten. Good evening to you. Right, so up top, I had to question how this is placed for a second. So basically, there is a 2x2 brick that we are just basically putting on two studs up here, apparently. Ah, I see. Because, well, for the moment, this would be not really structurally integer, but because there is like this back piece, also a 1x4 brick, it can just not fall down. It gets structurally safe. That's a little bit lazy of a way to do it, I guess. Yeah. Oh, thank you for asking. Yeah, sadly, I am like just a little bit. How should I say? I have a cold. I guess I was feeling my throat for a couple of days, so that's also why I had to take a little bit of a pause with streaming. But I was so motivated to continue that I just thought, it doesn't matter that much. I hope I don't sound too horrible. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet of you. I know what you mean. I'm always like when I'm doing work, I'm always like super motivated, and just even if I shouldn't, I am always like and the sort of person that wants to rather be present at work while being a little sick than taking another day off. You know. I think this slope up here looks really cool, especially with these side slopes here too. It builds up the structure quite well. I just have the feeling maybe it gets a little bit too steep, too fast. Maybe it should have been a little bit placed backwards more. I hope you had a great week and are looking forward to a good weekend. Not too much work, I hope. Yeah, totally. Thank you for asking. Besides the throat ache, everything was wonderful. I just basically managed to get some time for reading a little bit of uni stuff. Also, always something I probably should even do more. Oh, thank you. I was like very self-conscious about the green eyeshadow today. I put it on and I was like, oh Jesus. I wasn't really sure, but then I thought Might as well try it. And it's also always like 10 minutes to redo it. Ah, I see. So right now, top, we are adding some technic pieces with slopes on the bottom. Fits very neatly, creates a perfect surface to actually place studs upon. I gotta say, I love trying out like a little bit more freaky colors always. Like I also love purple. I feel like I cannot rock purple at all, but I just love the color so much. Just always look a little bit off, I think. Up here, I think the connection is quite unique. So we have placed some side elements, like I mentioned, which snap in place quite well. And then up top, there is this 4x4 plate being placed. So the angle this creates is rather cool, I think. Yeah, me too. It's like I think there's so many like really awesome colors that you could do makeup in, but then it's like especially when you go out the door, it's like I'm like way too conscious about the look I give off to actually like I don't know have the guts to actually do it. Oh, thank you. It's like sort of an orange and pink mix up that I found, which is kind of cool, I think, because you don't have to blend like different sorts of powders. You just use one, and it kind of creates the same effect. Weirdly enough, with the dresses, it's a little bit better for me. It's more like the tops that I get like really conscious about. Like I'm rather broad from my shoulders, and it's like I can never like pull it off in a way that it looks really feminine. I feel like kind of struggling with that always. But dresses are like so comfy. I gotta say, I think dresses are like my favorite thing just because they're like really, really comfy. So we are doing a little bit of a side build here, stacking up some plates first, and now there's this 2x4 sloped brick. Oh, that's so cool. Great to hear. You're making great progress. That's so awesome. I can remember that was a big step for me too. I gotta say, um, usually like I think for going out, usually the sports bras are just like the most comfy way to actually like um, wear it. I think the regular um, like metal strap bras are just so uncomfy to a certain point. Like especially if you wear them for too long. Like I always like struggle a bit with that. I totally understand that sometimes that gets a little bit of a negative rep. Hey, that's so awesome. That's the only important thing, that you're feeling better with yourself. Don't care about what other people think. I know it's sometimes a little bit hard to actually um, like not be too conscious about it, but um, I don't know. I personally also um, have like a lot of insecurities about it, but I realized for myself like it helps me a lot to just like practice, and like the more you do it, the more you get comfy with it, the more you actually like get used to it, and you don't think so much about it anymore, I guess. Yeah, I know what you mean. Me too, me too. The wait is on. All right, just to show you what we've been doing here. So we have placed the front side of the bridge build-up. This gets quite steep and in a little bit more of a weird angle. I think the backside just looks way better in that aspect. But let's see how we continue. I think now it's going to be like a side build point. I gotta say, like, I don't know. There's like quite a lot of people in my surroundings which like to like I don't know, bicker a bit on people on the street, or like I felt the last couple of days I sometimes had people just literally burst out laughing after they passed me. But you know, I always I'm just trying to like stay like really positive in that aspect, and just think about the fact that, like, you can grow from negative experience sometimes, like way more than from positive ones, because you just have to go in with the right mindset. Like um I usually just look back at them, and they realize that they are not the friendliest, and sometimes I just have a little conversation with them, and suddenly it becomes a lot better. I mean, sometimes you also have the people that just literally I start insulting you then. So that's the point when where you like um are fit for that, and you can accept that and just like get into that discourse. But usually I'm always just like then trying to like get away from it. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Like I usually just wear like shorts underneath, like black shorts or something. Like there's like short bike leggings, for example, too, and stuff like that you can just really use, which are kind of comfy. In the summer, not that much, but usually, like especially in autumn and winter, it's much better too. And that also helps concealing. Great. Also, you can hook in your knife or whatever you carry on you. So I personally just carry like either pepper spray or a knife with me. So just I'm being honest about that too. So thankfully, I did not yet have to actually really use it. Not in that aspect too much, at least. People disengage quite quickly when they see pepper spray. To be completely honest. So we are having built up quite a lot of this side view here, which is like this sort of plating that we did with some tiling, and down here some sloping. Oh yeah, totally. I hope I don't have to use that either. Or like not to that extent, at least. But it's better to be able to defend yourself than just to be the victim of something. It's also a lot about how you give yourself in public. I feel like the more I go out and the more I'm like just a little bit more confident in myself, and I don't care so much about it, the more I also have personally realized I don't get that much that many people that like really want to engage negatively, especially like the ones that you can meet at 2 in the morning on in some very like horribly lit park. Like I love going to some really scuffed places. Like, so in my city there's quite a few of them, and I love like just taking night walks. So that's usually not the best combination of these two things. But you just have to know how to how to like um well walk and be confident. It helps quite a bit. But also sometimes you have to be prepared to like defend yourself a little bit more than that. But that only happened like once or twice, and like I said, I never had to actually use a weapon for that. Also, I probably should stop doing night walk in general. It's not the safest thing around here anymore. Kind of the crime rate is a little bit rising in the last couple of years, sadly. But I just can't help it. But yeah, totally. Gotta stay safe. I gotta say, I would be like kind of scared in the US in some places, but maybe that's just because I've heard some really negative stories about it. Um, but yeah, I would have quite a lot of more respect around some areas in Texas, for example. Jesus. But I don't want to bash it at all. Just to mention that, I think the US is a great place, and I would love to see it one day. Um, and at the moment, you guys have maybe a couple of problematic situations, but um, in general, I think it's a very interesting country, and I'm sure there's a lot of places that are totally safe and like actually where you can meet great people too. And it's just probably some places give a lot of places a worse rep than they actually deserve, I guess. So up here we have placed some more detailing. I'm just gonna go a little bit closer with it. It stretches out the main part of this bridge already, and all of the side pieces, thankfully, are covering the technical construction underneath quite well. I got to say, the way that they are building around it is quite cool. It just looks a bit junky at the moment, I feel like. Yeah, there's some quite uncomfortable things that you can wear. To like, have you tried a corset, for example? That can be like really uncomfortable, especially like if you have to move a bunch. That's like horrible. I feel like. By the way, just mentioning. But I kind of like it sometimes because it gives off quite a good body structure, I guess. Like you can conceal something. But I'm low key. I'm not anorexic. I don't wanna say this in the wrong way. I just don't eat that much. I'm like on a healthy level of weight. I'm just very conscious about it and like try to keep it quite low. Especially like the cut of something for women's clothing is just sometimes a little bit well, how should I say problematic just because I have like really broad shoulders, so it's like sometimes hard to fit. But I'm lucky in terms of like I don't know, like in terms of shoulders, I'm like 2 or 3 sizes above like what my waistline actually is for that stuff. Yeah, I know what you mean. I totally feel the same. I have thankfully I have a very fast metabolism, and I'm like super hungry and like quite often. But then I just kind of negate it. No, it's not healthy, but I just forget about it sometimes. Like, I do work for like 8 hours and then I actually literally work for like 5 to 8 hours straight up through. And like, I just say fuck it to eating for some reason, which is not a good thing. but I also figured out like if you're also bony but you like have broad shoulders, it also really depends what sort of like tops you wear. In terms some tops like can really um make it look a little bit less, if you know, like if that's the right way um to say that. Whereas with like especially strapless things, I feel like I just cannot really wear. I sometimes do just because they're comfy, but I just feel like I'm not really looking great in anything with a strap. But like really puffy sides, for example, is something I love. Like there's, especially if you combine like a white blouse, which has like a little bit of a puffy like side on the arms. It basically fits with any sort of skirt, no matter if it's like pink or black or blue. It usually white you can just fit in for the top, so you have something a little bit more color neutral and make a little bit of a more um how should I say, well-rounded look, I guess. Also, I'm not sure where I've put the stickers, so I hope it's okay. But for now, we are actually just placing the bridge like this because I do not exactly know where I have this. So yeah, that's that. Also, I feel like just putting a bunch of these stickers on is kind of a lazy move from Lego side up here too. I would fuck them up anyway. All right. And this part up here has like a bunch of connections left open from here. And up here underneath it's getting placed. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like that's a dream of mine too. But it's a way that you always have to see like sort of transitioning as also a journey to uptake, and there's like some side steps that can always motivate you. Like it's the little things and the little progress that keep me like really motivated and happy. It's not even these one or two big things that you're working towards on. It's all of the little things of actually like appreciating yourself the way you actually are, and like doing what you actually want to do. I think that's also like a big thing, or at least for me. But that's also different for everybody. I suppose like there's like a lot of different levels on the spectrum of that, and I think like the worst thing that you can do is like give yourself like negative feelings because other people think you're not like completely like acceptable if, as long as you do not do this step or that step. I think like being trans is not something about like just going through a catalog of things and just being only being okay once you finish it 100%. It's like not like a speed run where you try to like just finish a game or something. I think the important thing is to actually figure out what you want for yourself, and if that's what you want, then I think that's an, a totally awesome step to work towards. It's long term. Yeah, exactly. It's those little things like just seeing yourself in the light that you actually want to be in. Like um, just for example, like you mentioning the little things like seeing yourself in a dress that you like or stuff like that, and just feeling like really feminine. That's like the things that motivate me much more than thinking, yeah, maybe like in a year or two, I'm gonna do that operation or that operation. That kind of like drags me away from it more than anything, because I'm more about like being positive with myself than anything. Like just like struggling to just like want to reach that goal and that goal. I've been at that point too, in the beginning quite a little bit, and that's something that I've heard a lot of people struggle with for some time, just because you get into this mode of feeling you do not really accomplish that much and you just wanna do everything at once, and nothing really like works out that great. And it's that point where you have to realize that it's like also a lot of work to put into, and it's as something that, as you mentioned, it's a journey. It's like as a great um it's a great ongoing thing. It's not just like you do something once and then you're like automatically there, I guess. Yeah, totally. Um, don't listen to your brain too much in that in on some of these moments where you're just like, oh, it's just horrible, or some stuff like that. I mean, I am totally know what you mean. Like I have these sort of moments a lot to like. I don't know. I have them like basically every day, like so, to a little bit. But it's just like um, realizing that sometimes it's okay to not listen to just like that very rational voice of what am I doing, what is going on, and just sometimes be okay with how you want to be, and like that, be okay with what you enjoy. All right, so we have kind of finished our bridge build. Please do not mind that there are actually no stickers up here right now. Other than that, it's looking quite cool. I like the side plating quite a lot. I also hooked up my headset gear into this run section. All right. Oh no, I don't mind it at all. I think that's actually a topic I like to talk about quite a lot at this point. I very much appreciate it. I think sharing thoughts about sort of this ongoing process of how I feel about transitioning and like um, how is it going? I think it's actually very much fun to talk about for me. It's also like kind of helps me a little bit. It's a bit cathartic, I guess, because I don't really mention that to my family, for example, or like my friends that much, because I just feel like I'm kind of annoying them with these sort of topics. If I'm completely honest. Oh, by the way, we are already on step number 6. Making quite some process. We will build the engines in this one, as it looks like. Oh, that was such a struggle for me. Like coming out to my friends like was probably like one of the harder points, because at that point the only person that knew that was me, basically, because I didn't really want to talk with my parents at first about it, because well, you want to be sure completely, you want to just like share that with just people where you know you can trust them, and they understand you maybe. And I was very fortunate that they actually did, and they were very supportive about that. But sadly, that also depends a lot on the friend group, I guess. I mean, don't get me wrong. I had some people that did not like my decision that much, and which I basically sorted out as friends at that point. But I gotta say that really helped me, because once I actually was able to work that out properly, and not just, well, how should I say, not just like have it as the thought in my mind of knowing that, but actually like saying it, and saying that I'm transgender. That is just like that really like motivated myself, and I suddenly also like really felt like I was doing the right thing. I sadly am like a very self-doubting person in general, and I don't know. At first, I was even doubting that I'm even right at that point, because, well, as you maybe have realized from by now, my hobbies are maybe not like the most feminine in some ways. So that was also something that I personally like always had trouble like accepting. Then I suppose. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. Oh, That's great to hear. Thank you. I'm sure you're totally beautiful too. And I definitely can say you're an amazing person. I guess I'm going to ignore that there is only one. Maybe I don't know what none of these types. Do we have more pieces? Apparently, yes, we do. Whoopsie. I should probably open this second bag that we have. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet of you. I'm just trying to be honest. I honestly I hate it when people are just totally fake just because they're on the internet. Just because nobody knows you doesn't mean that you have to be a different person from what you actually are. Yeah. And especially like I don't know in these sort of topics I I know that it's hard in some ways because I'm going through that struggle too. But I can only say if you feel right with it, then it's so worth it because you feel so much better with your own life. Yeah, totally. If it feels right, then go for it. That's such a true thing. And like I mentioned, it's just because somebody else does not like it, don't even worry about it. Like I feel like I've given the wrong sort of people way too much leverage about my own life and my own decisions for way too long, and I've took quite a lot of time to realize that that's just something that is not going to make me happy, sadly, and you just have to realize maybe something needs to be switched in order to achieve the happiness that you deserve because everybody deserves happiness in their life. I'm struggling with exactly that decision at the moment. I've I've heard like just so many like problematic things about some people who took the HRT, but at the same time, I'm just like I know that I want it, so I totally I'm going to do that, but at the same time, it's just like a big change, and it's a big change to your body, which I heard is in some ways is negative, but it also has like a lot of awesome effects actually. I think, but it's definitely something that I want to do for like a long time at this point. Like it's just I don't know, some parts are like really useful actually. It's also something that I wanted to mention earlier. I feel like, oh, by the way, we're doing a side build now, which will be attached back here. So we did the engine piece here with the rounded corners. Quite cool pieces. I feel like most people feel a little bit pressured into doing certain things, especially in the trans community. I've met and heard like quite a lot of people that are like really like super awesome, and that I think actually like helped me a ton, like becoming the person that I am now. But there's also always like some like very elitist sort of people, like when they're trying to establish things like you are not that, or you are not that, you're not a real woman just because some part of your body just does not look like that, or something like that. I know that I'm a woman because I am psychologically one, and like I don't need to freaking justify myself to somebody. in this way. I feel like, and that's something that is like, I don't know, that can stick around and that can give you a very negative stigma, and, and just drag you down a lot. Yeah, I completely agree. That's my opinion on the subject too. Like, especially with trans identity, there's like so many different like stages of what you actually identify with, and I don't know, like there's like so many people that sometimes want to pressure you into things that you just don't really maybe want yourself personally. So I don't know. I've had like I've had friends in the past which kind of like told me that for example, if I would ever do that, they would not continue to date me or stuff like that. But then at that point I was always like, well, you just showed me now that I don't want to continue dating you right now. So that's a great way to know where you're at very fast in a relationship. If somebody does not accept you for who you are and who you want to be, then yeah, then fuck that person, to be honest. Like, I think the worst thing you can do is just stick around with somebody that just like tells you that you're wrong in your own opinion and that the other person is right in theirs. Just because you want to be yourself and you want to live your way in the way that you want, for example, your body to look like too. So yeah, that can also like, I feel like that's probably one of those topics that can really emotionally scar and fuck up somebody like quite well. So just to show you a little bit of what we are building at the moment, this is this side panel where we basically added a lot of these plates. This one by one studs, which now will be used to place more plates upon. Hello, thank you for tuning in. Hope you're having a great evening as well. I totally feel what you mean. Like, I feel like it's just, well, how should I say? It depends on the person what they actually want from it. So for me, I've always had like a lot of dysphoria with certain parts of my body. I'm not gonna lie about that. And honestly speaking, I I don't think that I will ever lose that as long as I look the way I look. But it was also always like a big struggle for me, just because nobody like taught like accepted me for like having feminine sides, like especially like I mean, I hate talking about my time as a dude, but it was just I was never like masculine at all, like, you know. I've always best tried to like look like it, just to like be left alone more, because like you probably know, like people in school can be like really terrible at some points, and especially if you're more of like an androgynous person, then and it can lead into like kind of troublesome situations sometimes. So back then I was always just like really trying to not make too many waves around myself. We are adding a lot of technical elements up top. I love these angle pieces here. They've used like so many of these in the UCS Millennium Falcon, for example, for the structure around the main skeleton part of it. Up here is, oh, by the way, we are building the engine pieces in the back. So this is the side piece, and here are hooks on both sides on the bottom that we will attach the ledge upon. Oh, that's so sweet of you. Thank you. I'm just so honored that somebody actually wants to listen to me. I'm very, very um, happy to read that. You people are great. Just want to say that. Thank you so much. Oh, I cannot tell you how much I like kind of hated my smile and my mouth in general, like for like the longest time, to be completely honest. Like even by now, I feel like I have such a weird looking face in general. I don't know. I don't know, for myself. I can just never like really like keyword something else than just like the my old image in some cases, and it's just like that's probably like what's dragging me back a lot on bad days too. Just to mention a bit of what we are building, so these are the side plates with the aforementioned hoods on the side. These go as the other side already is mounted up here, and they basically just connect, snap into it. I guess they want this to be angled off like this later on. I very much suppose so. Alright, let's see where we actually are adding these. Just gonna put our main part of the build a little bit up front. Alright, so this is getting secured quite well. I love the way that this is mounted. So this has studs here, if you can tell, up in the middle, which are left free. Down here we have 3 studs left too from the Technic connection after we shoved this decorative ring piece on. And this connects right here, holds this in place. And now these 2 side pins, the 2 red connections, are just shoved through. And now this basically cannot fall off. This one can fall off though, but the main piece cannot. This is actually getting quite heavy at this point, to be honest. Quite a lot of plastic. I also got to say, in person, it looks a little bit different than in the pictures as well. And yeah, they are getting tilted upwards down here in the instruction manual at this point. All of the plastic. I sadly I wish that they would stop using plastic for the bags though. Like they've mentioned quite a few times how they are going to supposedly switch to paper bags, but they are still just putting even the newest sets from like June were still completely wrapped in plastic. Yeah, there was only this one like Christmas special I think they even only put this out to employees, to be honest. Um, and that had like paper bags for some of the parts at least. I suppose they do it because they want to basically provide a waterproof packaging for the parts, but at the same time, these parts are plastic themselves, so you can literally throw the Lego into the washing machine and it's not a problem at all. Whereas the with the packaging that you're providing there, like all of the plastic is just like so much stuff that you throw away always. And I'm like, honestly, I'm more annoyed about the plastic bags always than I would be about the paper waste, because then everything at least could go into the same bin. Also got to mention, at this point I stopped like collecting any sort of box. I was like really crazy and a little bit weird about that. When I was starting out with collecting Lego again, I was like keeping every single box for some reason, just because I saw on Bricklink some people sold them for like €1 or so. Whereas, but now I'm like, nah, that's just not worth the hassle. Also, I feel like nobody really wants to purchase like a paper box online. So like really how many people are actually going to do that? All right, so we put some side panel here, or like the main part basically now, and the sides are being put here. Oh, this is a weird angle to build in. But it gets a cool shape. So we can already see, so the bottom side is going upwards here, and then we'll probably go up this way as well. Oh, thank you so much. I feel like my fingernails, I kind of want to redo them soon. I thought about like either doing a pastel color like yellow, or going a little bit more into pink, because this one is just like, I just love switching my nail polish like all the time. I don't know why. Probably because when uh, I'm ever since I outed myself and I live like this openly, I I just love going over the top with some stuff, and that's not like too visible to people while walking down the street. So that's why I always also say, like, when going out into public, I like tone it down like way more in terms of my makeup. But then there's the little things that you can always do, like the nail polish, or like for example earrings and stuff like that. People don't really look at you that weird for any of that. Or I feel like I by myself don't feel like I'm really doing my nails that well either. Like I kind of want to um I always want to go to the nail salon, but at the same time, I want to practice it just to get so I get better at it. And there's this sort of grind set of just like getting better at the thing you want to do for a long time, so you don't have to like spend money on it all the time, and it still looks passable, I guess. Also, like I realized, if you want tips on it, like doing very slim codes always helps like a bunch. I at the beginning I tried starting out with just like doing one thick layer of it, but that's the same like if you paint, if you've ever painted like a model car or something like that, that's in the same sort of alleyway, I guess, with the way that you approach it, just like many thin layers is always helping a lot. Yeah, I gotta say you're right. Like a nail salon has something. Um, it's like just a nice experience sometimes too. I can't really get the longer style nails, because my job requires me to sometimes like use my fingers, and it's always breaking on me. I swear. But they're quite useful. You can probably use like standard nails for freaking gouging out somebody's eyes if they attack you, I guess. Everything can be a weapon if you create. But they look awesome. I gotta say, like, I think. Oh, I nearly used the wrong technique pin. I got to say the longer style of nail extensions just look really cool. And they can be so fancy. You can do like all of the designs on it. All right, before doing the side paneling, we just put in the first engine piece with the sort of blue glow to it, which is just done by this trans clear blue piece, the dish here, and underneath you can see there's a Technic pin holding it in. All right, the side pieces are just some decorative parts with a Technic connection on the bottom side, and up top we are placing some wing pieces. So let's see how this is actually looking like. As you can see up here, there is a Technic pin left open, and this way we are getting sort of a better shape to it with this angle. There's still some air in the middle, but it's better than nothing, I guess. All right, so the finished backyard for now is looking like that. Just for a quick view. I know what you mean. Like sometimes the expectations that people have are different, and then it can be a little bit weird. But I also have to say, like, there's a lot of people that, at least from my experience, that are quite cool about those things. Sometimes it's more a surprise to me, like when I tell them and they still don't mind. So sometimes I'm like, what? I have to say, like, sometimes dating by now has become a little bit weird because, like, I gotta say I'm by myself, so I'm into both genders, or like I guess how, how is that called? I think pansexual, um, but it's a different experience, I got to say, to when I was dating as my old self. I got to say, some people are like weirdly into you just because the fact that you're transgender, and then that's sort of personally for me that's not something I can really cope with. For me, that becomes a little bit weird. But usually, usually people are actually really friendly. Like they interestingly enough respect you a little bit more in some ways. Sometimes it's heartbreaking. Yeah, sometimes it's really heartbreaking. That's true. Especially like if you meet the person where you just feel right with, but then it's just because of that fact, it's just not something for them. Um, and I'm very open and honest about this. I always disclose this. I honestly also don't really like just meet random people that I don't disclose this to if I'm interested in them. But still, it's just hurts. Sometimes that's very much true. Yeah, always keep your own safety in mind, especially in those cases. And if you have a weird write up or something, sadly, most of the time, your feeling, your gut feeling gives you a right intention to it. Yeah, exactly. Safety first, totally. Because like usually when you have a kind of a weird feeling about something, it usually means that there is something not completely right about it. Also, I really gotta say, like some people, especially in online dating, can be like so respectless. Like, I don't know. I've disclosed. I'm very much disclosing. I'm not like in into somebody just having a fast sexual relationship with me. Like I personally, I'm not for hookups, and so it's like always like just so weird when you still I like have this like really like as my first thing in my biography, but then it's still like at least 20% of people just write you up and ask if you want to bang them really quick. So it's like, no, thank you, but thank you very much for being very fast about showing me that I can unmatch you again. You know, that sort of thing. Yeah, mutual respect is so important in a relationship. Like I've been in relationships where people just I don't know had a weird sort of power grab in terms of like what they are pushing from their partner, but then at the same time what they are actually doing for the relationship. Exactly. Like, thank you for being honest. Thank you for being honest enough for showing me that I'm not interested in it. It's like I've been out clubbing a couple of days ago, and as you know, I'm not really going into discos that much anymore. But I don't know. I had I had that wish for quite a long time, and kind of had a lot of work the last couple of months. So I worked up the confidence and just went out on some Saturday night. And and for some part it was a great experience here. So I just love company of people, and I think dancing can be like super fun. But also I have to say, like the fixation of some people for just like getting intimate with you is just yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of more apparent now than earlier, and it's also sometimes a little bit weird, especially like uh, if it's happening in a very nonchalant way. Yeah, exactly. Like I swear to God, like I know exactly what you mean. That sort of thing where people just start getting like really intimate and personal, literally on the street. Like when I was walking just like to my uni the other day, and this there is like a couple of street crossings where it's like you just need to wait at the traffic junction for a little bit when you're on foot. Um, and so some of these traffic lights just take like I don't know, at least half a minute to switch around. So it can lead into weird conversations. As I realized, I honestly had not had that experience before. That was the first for me. So somebody just like literally asked my name first, then then I told them that I'm named Hannah, and literally the first thing that dude came up with was, "Wow, that's the most uncreative name ever." That's like so common, and I'm like, "Wow, thank you, dude." I didn't just like make that up or anything. I just like switched my old name to the female version of it, so it's not like I'm just making up stripper names or something. Like, what the fuck? Yeah, right. What an ass thing to say. And then I continued onwards, just walking over the crossing, and that dude just like constantly asked me, "So now you're a woman? You're 100% a woman?" And I'm like, "That's not really your deal. This is so why are you asking me this?" And then the next question, like immediately was like, "But before then you were a dude, right?" And I'm like, "God damn it! Are you kidding me at this point?" It's just wanting to piss me off or what? And that went on a little bit when till he literally asked me about my private parts and how my old name was, and I was like, "Dude, I'm telling you for the fourth time, that's not your deal. I'm not wanting to have this conversation with you, and I definitely am not inclined to give out that information to you. You know, I have no business relationship with you, so I'm not inclined to have any sort of conversation with you. I I can if I want to, but I definitely don't. So, so fuck off, basically, you know." And yeah, that at some point he understood, but then he just switched the side of the street, and then from the other one he just continued taking pictures. So that was the point where I was getting a little bit sad about it, but you know, it stayed at that. I just walked a little slower and just like went into a shop for a little bit, so I wasn't bothered anymore by it. Yeah, exactly. Like asking for that names is just like, so this is something that is just annoying. Honestly, it's just it makes you feel really uncomfortable because you don't want to be reminded of that. You know, like it's not like I am happy if I talk about my past with some random weirdo on the street. Exactly. Like you got to remove yourself from negativity sometimes, especially like if you're if you're just like really not in a professional environment at all. Like if you're at work, you cannot just like run away from it. I know, and there's also like sometimes not very friendly people that can confront you with stuff like that on work, but at work. But um, with that, you can politely say that that's not something that you want to talk about, and usually that helps a little. Um, and if they really don't understand, then yeah, you have to just like leave the conversation and say that you have to do something else. To be completely honest with you, that also happens, like that sort of not understanding and not caring really, and then just like being really noisy about it because yeah, I don't know, at least around here, like many people are sometimes like even not even thinking is bad or anything, but they just have never like seen any person that is actually transgender. So they're like, "Whoa, what is that? I want to know everything about it." And it's like, please don't. You can use the internet for that. You don't have to literally ask the one person that you've ever met that is identifying as that. Oh, that's like also one of those really mean questions. I'm sorry you had to endure that. That can like kind of really like make you sad in its own way. I feel like, and like I'm saying, like people don't even like just like trying to get on your nerves sometimes, but you just don't really understand that that's something that well that can hurt you quite a lot. At least for me, honestly speaking, like that sort of stuff can drag me down quite a bit. It's the same like when you're walking down the street and somebody is like really annoyingly laughing really loud at you or stuff like that. Like it just kind of sticks with you. As I mean, I'm always somebody that is very much preaching positivity more than anything. Like especially like trying to learn and seeing positive things about negative situations is something that I think is super important for growing as a person and as a human being in general. But at the same time, it can hurt. Asking out of curiosity, I understand. Just don't do it. Yeah, exactly. Like I understand if you're curious, and usually like you know, if it's in a respectful way, I don't mind. Like even though I'm I don't have to do it, I usually like talking with people a lot, so it's okay if it's not like really into the deep topics, you know, like the moment it's just starting to like be a conversation about genitals after like two other sentences, it's usually where I draw the line and I'm like, nah, thank you. Even if you don't want to be insulting at all, it's just not something I want to talk about. And as long as the other person understands that, I usually don't even stop the conversation at all. Like it's just when it becomes like really apparent there's just somebody like being into you for the completely wrong reason. I didn't even know that that was a thing before I actually like transitioned myself. So I've heard the word chaser being used as a term for that. I've, it's just like kind of a weird thing. Yeah, exactly. So it's just constantly, if it's just repeating itself, if it's just um, continuing a conversation just about that one topic, and then you already mentioned, well, I'm not very much secure about myself in those ways, and I don't really want to talk about those subjects right now. um, and the other party just keeps on going in maybe a different approach to it, but still asking you basically the same thing. um, like, it's just frustrating sometimes, and that's the point where you're completely right, where you just have to kind of distance yourself from that and maybe like drop the conversation a little bit. Oh, by the way, we have finished the first of the side parts to this engine. Also, here we have this transclear blue dish in 4x4 and a bunch of these rounded pieces. Those are awesome. Like those are actually pretty rare, and they are great parts. They are structurally very rigid. Wonderful thing. Yeah, right. Like just asking about food is like I think it's like the greatest freaking starter for me. I love talking about that. Like I'm a total foodie too. So it's like I've mentioned that I don't eat that often, but honestly, like I said, just because I forget about it while doing work most of the time. So I totally dig food. I just can't cook properly, so I'm more for eating out, sadly. Oh, I don't know. I like cooking some things, but it's a preparation and the time that you spend cooking in comparison to what you're actually like spending time on for eating it later on. For like I sometimes cook for like an hour or two for eating in like 10, and it's like, wow, that was really worth it, huh? So that was probably also one of the reasons why I was like kind of doubted myself a lot in actually being trans, because like you can get the experience that every transgender person is just like, or at least every um, trans woman is just like very much into all of the girly stuff and nothing of the like mm, more like dude like characteristics in some way. But I kind of have a problem even calling it that, because I think most things, like especially hobbies, are just like something that anybody can enjoy in general. So it's like kind of BS to me, like if somebody um is trying to tell me you're not a girl, or you're just such a masculine being just because, for example, you like cars or stuff like that. Like I think everybody just has their own hobbies, and I mean I personally love watching racing, or like race driving. So I know that there's a lot of very talented female drivers. So it's not like that's something that's just for men, you know. It's, yeah, totally, exactly. That's not actually a gender thing, and I think many people just don't understand that if they just never really had the confrontation with what actually is setting you apart, in terms of or like what concerns your gender and what is actually just concerning your hobbies and what you actually like in life. So I think people that judge you for like being masculine just because you like certain hobbies are just honestly idiots in some ways, but sorry for that. I don't want to be insulting to anybody actually watching this, but just personally, I think that nothing in terms of like what you like to do in your free time has to do with your gender that much. It's just like how you want to present yourself and how you want to be seen from the society, which actually like makes out your gender in that way, at least in terms of your sociological gender. I know like in terms of your biological gender, I'm not talking about that. So I know that's like always like a super big point for some very conservative people. Like, yeah, there's only two biological genders, blah blah blah. Nobody is negating that there is not a biological gender that you are belonging to, but but that does not mean that social, like psychologically, you cannot be something different. Exactly. Like I feel like people that have that sort of opinion are just usually, or like from my experience from talking with such people, they are usually the ones who are struggling with themselves like, a lot. Like usually if you're a happy person and you're happy with your own life, you're not really coming to the realization that you need to freaking insult somebody else. Or at least I very much have that opinion. Like well, I don't at least want to insult anybody. And I was different in that aspect when I was younger, and I was totally closeted to. Yeah, exactly. Like there's so many different things in nature that are like so much more diverse than just black and white. So it's the same with human psychology, and especially with gender in general too. Like especially what we understand as gender is like usually anyway like only the sociological part of it, like this what society thinks of you, and not so much like I don't know, like I like nobody sees like what sort of genitals, for example, you have. So um on the street, I mean, as long as you're not just literally flashing them out or something like that. So that's a little weird maybe, but I don't want to say that that's something to do. I'm saying like nobody can really tell the difference on that, because like if you for example, as long as you present female, like most people don't realize that anything different. Like most people cannot really tell your biological gender if you're like presenting well enough and you know what to do for passing. um well at least as long as you don't have giveaways, like for example voice. Like for example, I know that like as soon as I open my mouth, I'm not passing at all. So that's is something I kind of have accepted, and I'm still like talking regularly with people just because um I think, well, you know, like it's just it's just a little bit of a controversial topic, I guess. But for me personally, at least, I'm like very conscious about it, so I can very much like tell that it's just sounding too masculine, especially like when I talk like this. Like mentioned, I have a little bit of a throat ache the last couple of days. I'm like really husky, and I can tell it's like not good at the moment. But it's just like hard to like constantly keep your vocal cords like in that sort of range too. Like you always need to go up to a higher degree, like um, like a little bit more in this aspect, and then it's hard to push it constantly, because it's just how should I say, it, it it's just a different like way that you actually use your vocal cords to a certain point. So it's as you can tell, I just immediately go back to a more comfy voice for me personally, just because if I keep that up too long, it's at the moment it just still hurts. Um, but usually I'm also like practicing this a lot, just because it's, for me personally, it's just really important for actually getting the feel of being able to pass properly. You know what I mean? Because well, if you just um well, for other people, I think you should never do anything in general. Like I don't like want to pass just for other people to accept me or anything like that. It's just for myself. I just feel more confident in myself if I can do certain things good, and like don't constantly just have that conversation. Oh, you kind of fooled me, but then you started talking and I knew, or stuff like that, and you don't even ask about it. Like they just like confront you with that fact, like straight up, like just from talking in uni or some stuff like that. And it's like, that's not something I needed to hear. Like, oh really, you realize that I'm actually like biologically maybe not what I'm presenting as. Oh, thank you so much. I really needed to hear that from my freaking um, conversation partner from some freaking group project in uni. That's exactly what is a great conversation starter. Oh, I nearly did not recognize, but then that was a giveaway. Yeah, this is Haraya fans. I'm not. It's not like I'm freaking putting on a disguise or anything like that. I'm just trying to be myself, exactly. And that's like what I felt I had a lot of like arguments about with some people in the beginning too. Like uh, some people just don't really understand it that well, and like some friends asked me if I'm actually like just liking to disguise myself or something like that. And that's kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say insulting. It's just like kind of ridiculous to think that, yeah, you constantly want to disguise yourself for every part of your day, for every part of the week. It's like saying you're a constant cross dresser like 24/7. Yeah, sure. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you love just wearing women clothes and nothing else, then that's also wonderfully cool. I think that's not a problem at all. The only point I'm trying to make is like, sometimes people tend to want to lie to themselves just not to accept the truth of something. At least I personally had that problem a lot too. Like I could not accept myself for like a long time. I went through some very dark phases because of it, and and the only reason why I finally started like really like standing to myself was because I was realizing, I'm like really not enjoying my life anymore, and I'm at the point where I'm like really not that keen on continuing in that way. So either I change something to make me more happy, or I need to do something different. And I didn't want to go down that path. I don't really want to mention anything in this aspect either. It's just, I guess many people are struggling with these sort of thoughts. So I always want to mention, like, you get rid of them if you just live your life how you actually want to live your life. So for me personally, I never thought about anything in these sort of depressed states anymore, since I very much started transitioning. I mean, I don't want to say I never have like phases where I'm a little bit depressed. I mean, I guess everybody has that, but life is not just always happiness. So that's something that it's important to understand. Like, life is always an up and down, and that's what makes it great. Like, without sadness there is no happiness. But it's just when there's just constant dull anger and sadness, and just you never experience happiness at first. It's a point where it's just very dull, and it's very frustrating too. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I think you're never too old to actually start transitioning if that's what you want to do. Like, I know people that are, I literally personally know people in their 50s who are like still have started their transition. So I think that's honestly something totally awesome. I have so much respect for that. Like, the older you get, it's just harder socially in some points, because some people actually have more struggle actually understanding you, maybe. And also, physically speaking, it's just some operations are just not possible at some point anymore. So if you have really big dysphoria, and for example, you want stuff like bottom surgery, that is only possible till a certain point in your life. Um, so that's the only thing that maybe matters in terms of age. In terms of what if you should transition or not, I think no matter how old you are, if you feel right with it, then it's not something that should ever keep you from it. But the younger you start, the the more time you can actually spend in the life that you actually deserve to live, because it's the way that it makes you happy. I know what you mean. Yeah. I kind of get into this sort of thought process too sometimes, like of thinking, yeah, well, I should have started 10 years ago. I should have gone on puberty blockers or some stuff like that. And oh no, I'm already 26. I'm like so old. I maybe should not even do this anymore, because already look like an old hag. Like one of the last trips, somebody came in and just told me that I look like 34, and I think he tried to be friendly to me, and I was like, "Wow, thank you." But at the same time, it, like I said, it does not matter that much. Like how old you are, it's just about how you feel. um, and honestly, to a certain part, what I have to say at this point. By the way, I'm just gonna like show you the backyard of what we've built from here. So we've done all the engines and all the sort of covering up top and on the bottom side. All right, let's continue with the seventh step. Um, so it's kind of the thing, like the step number seven. Where it's just how should I word this properly? Um, like when I would not say that I do not regret not starting earlier, but at the same time, um, when I started, at least I had the knowledge of just like regular adulting already. So I was very glad for that, to be honest, because I can remember, like, during my teens, I was a hot mess. I can really say that I was a total hot mess in some aspects, and um, it's I think that would have not helped me at all in becoming a better person. Um, it would have dragged me away even further from feeling like myself, because it was. Hmm, like some experiences are definitely not based on your gender. Like, I have to say, like, 90% of your life has nothing to do with your gender, and it's you can live it either as both genders without any problem. It's really just like this societal society sort of understanding of, yeah, you are that or that, and basically your love life. That's the two, like, really big things. um where it's like it it can it can maybe look like it has different importance to the person during their development in their puberty than what it looks like when in reality, when you're grown up and you realize some parts are just not dependent on gender at all. And that's also a point that I would miss a little bit if I transitioned earlier. Yeah, totally. Like, it's not about finding all the negative aspects. Like, trust me, like, even right now, I could find like so many problems and flaws, like, just with even this picture right here. And I'm totally conscious about that all the time. But that does not mean that you should not see the positive aspects, and that's very, very important. Like, you need to rather try to see some of the positive aspects in what this does to you. If it makes you happy, then it does not matter if some parts of you don't make you happy, because the fact that you're actually doing something is already um, such a step into the right direction, that it just gives off a different vibe to your body, and it makes you feel happy in some way already. I don't know. I gotta say, I kind of uh, I struggle with self hate quite a lot, and I personally have rather strong opinions on that for myself, but also just for myself. So just me personally, I struggle with dysphoria and that quite a bit, but um, yeah, well, after 26 years, you at least know how to like live with it without like being at a point where you just where you can just not function properly. But as I mentioned, especially when it's getting mentioned in relationships and stuff like that, it's always like not. It's that's the only point where it's like really dragging you down a lot, and like if the other person is, for example, like I also had that in a relationship where I mentioned from the beginning, I definitely know that I at some point want to at least like get into this direction, and it's very likely that I one day want to have such surgeries too, and like the other person was just like, no, that's something completely unacceptable to me. Like what is even wrong with you? um that shows you like when somebody just does not accept it, and yeah, just you're not right there. Oh, thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, totally. I was just like um I stopped trying to like get personal validity out of relationships. It does not work for me. It's or like let's say if somebody tells you something like this, then it's definitely not something that will make you happy in it for the long run at all anyway, because usually this is, you will struggle with more than just one problem in that sort of aspect. I know what you mean. Like I personally like the last thing I ever would want is a kid. Like especially I could not imagine like having a kid on my own. Like that's also one of the reasons why I just like went onwards to like literally started transitioning at this point, because I knew from like a long time ago already that I was kind of like swinging in this direction, but by now I just like I could not imagine it. That's like I don't know. Just that's just a personal opinion. I don't want to speak for anybody else in this aspect. I want to mention that it's just for me personally. I could not see how I would be okay with raising a child in like that. I don't know. I also always like had a lot of envy for any woman that can bear a child. So it's something where I'm like I'm just wrong in that aspect. I wish I could carry out a child, but because I biologically can't, I would rather not involve anybody in it in this aspect. And it works out as long as you just clarify that in a relationship like rather early. Like I mean, it's not something. If you're together with a man, then it's not a problem. But um, uh, when you're together with another woman, like with a biological woman, then it's it is a risk, and it's not a risk that I would take. But at the same time, like to be honest, I'm I don't know if that's a little bit on the personal side, but yeah, who cares? um, I I personally live basically asexual anyway, so I don't know. I just have so much negative association with my own like private parts to not say anything like more graphic, but it's just I don't know. You're trying to like get into it, and you're trying to like do it for the other person in a relationship, and also you're telling yourself I have to do everything once, because how do I know that I do not like it otherwise, and so once I realized I don't like sex with women. I tried it with men, and that also like was not my thing. So it's like at some point you realize you're maybe like not swinging to any of these directions for real, and then it's honestly that was such a cathartic and great realization for myself that I'm not just weird. I'm maybe just not like in pulled in this direction, you know. Oh, I totally understand what you mean. Like I said, there's like so many different like points on the spectrum of being transgender. For some people, it's really just a complete sociological factor in it, and for some people, it's more on the body side of things. Um, I don't even want to say anything about where I see myself on there. I'm just trying to like be happy with what I do, and yeah, and get the best result I can from it. Yeah, totally. I know what you mean. Like, um, sort of, how should I say? Like, preferences in I have a lot of like memories of like different relationships which I basically just got into because I was I was curious if I'm going into this direction or not, and then when realizing I was not, then well I also saw the fact in me that I am just like um interested in some parts of it though, like um I gotta say, yeah, that's totally true. Like you can have fun with people no matter the gender. um I think it's, for me personally at least, it's way more important how the character of a person actually is like. I think what attracts me to people is more like intelligence and character than anything else. Well, because I'm not really looking for anything physical that much, but I love cuddling and stuff like that. But it's also very hard to find. So I've been in a lot of relationships where I kind of forced myself to do things with people just well because I didn't want him to break up with me, which is like a horrible reason to do so. I just want to mention, like, if your partner ever threatens you to break up with them just because you don't want to have sex with them at that point, then yeah, I think you're in the wrong relationship, and I can definitely tell you from experience that that can be very toxic. Um, but at the same time, it it's just really hard to like be together with somebody that is um sexually active regularly, to be with somebody who doesn't want to be, or like who can't really be in a safe mindset. So you sometimes just do it so that you're basically trying to satisfy your partner with it, but at the same time it can really fuck you up sometimes. I gotta say, like, there's been moments where afterwards I just like I cried, and I just felt so disassociated with my own self that it was just not nice, you know. Yeah, exactly. Like you're not trying. You definitely don't want to hurt them, and you just don't. Also, you don't want to like come across as like this giant weirdo. That's like totally against anything like that, and just maybe just like totally prude, or just a virgin or something like that. And it's, I swear, the amount of shit that people can tell you for just not wanting to basically have them stick their parts into you is like weird as hell. No, Jesus Christ. If I would have to force myself to do that every day, I would feel like I would work in a whorehouse or something. Also, not want to diminish anybody who does that as a profession and likes to do that, but I personally, I would feel terrible for it. And then it's also like, all right, Jesus, can you maybe just chill a bit? Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's just those are parts that can just like really be something that can fuck you up quite a lot. Like it's just not something that any friendly or good partner would ask you for if you would not feel it. And if Jesus Christ, every day is also like it. So I've had a girlfriend that asked that from me at some point, and because I was young and very much trying to prove myself wrong in some ways, I kind of forced myself to some of it. Thankfully not every day, but like I don't know, like 4 times a week or so, and it was just a point where it already got like so. It just got too much for me, to be completely honest. Yeah, exactly. Like when you meet somebody that's like not not the smartest, then it can also be like horrible. It's just such a bad experience you can sometimes get from that. And usually also one of the reasons I like being with women is kind of like the empathy and the friendliness that you still get, like even from very sexually active women. They have a different understanding for some of those things. It's just like, it's um men usually care more for this for quick satisfaction, um from my personal experiences with men, at least, um which sometimes can be quite demeaning and hurtful once you given them what they asked for, and then you just suddenly become completely uninteresting to them. And you just you're in that for like the relationship, and actually just being with somebody that likes and or even loves you for who you are, and like just cuddling with somebody, and then in the moment you're trying to fulfill your partner, and in the only way that you actually don't want to actually do that, and you're just doing that for them, you immediately can feel like how you're becoming less interesting to them suddenly, and it's just that can really just like fuck with you. Yeah, yeah, totally. Like, I don't know. I'm sure there are some very, very great dudes out there that actually are not at all like that. And I'm totally 100% sure. Like, usually, like 10% give 90% a very, very bad rap. I want to mention that too. Like, um, it's not like I'm trying to generalize that on like meaning everybody. I'm just saying in general. I personally feel like, um, there is a little bit of that sort of experience to it. But I've also had girlfriends that were acting a little bit similar, but usually they had some prior very negative experiences with that topic in general. So it is a tough point to really make. I don't want to like generalize things like that at all. um yeah, to the point where they can. What I had more negatively with women in that aspect was more like the psychological aspect to it, of like, I don't know, wanting to pressure you into it, and telling you how that relationship is going to end if you're not stepping up to it, or how she's probably going to just bang somebody else next week if you're not finally catching up to it, or things like that. And that, I don't know, that always like forced me a lot into this sort of behavior of just like trying to match my partner's needs and wants. Whereas in reality, yeah, I should really not have. Oh damn, that sucks. Oh really? Like, I, I I'm not going to go into graphic detail for that, because um I I'm posting these on YouTube, but that's just horrible, to be honest. Like, yeah, I've had sort of the same experience one time, and I was like really sad about it. Like, afterwards, I just completely blocked that person too, because yeah, what does it give you? It just made me like really sad. And it's just that hurts. Like then you realize it's really just like something of physical attraction to the other side. And especially when you're already struggling so hard with your own physical side, and you just want somebody that is there for you. It's the worst when it's just this pleasure release for the other person, and then they just draw fly off like, yeah, gotta go, gotta go fast. Yeah, totally. You're completely right. The most important thing, and see that's what I meant earlier on, is to actually just learn from stuff like that, and take something positive with yourself, with negative experiences like that, where it's like, well, at least I know for myself that I'm going to be a little bit more conscious about a person in that aspect, and maybe make that more clear. At least for me, I took that with me from her. Yeah, exactly. It's like you take this by. It's just, I don't know. It's a very very weird thing to do, in my opinion. Like when you just when you're just into quick hookups, I guess I'm not the person for it, so I can not speak of experience in that aspect. But if you're just into that sort of thing, I wish at least you would make clear to me that you are. And that's why I also mentioned, I kind of appreciate when at least it's not the 15th message on Tinder, but like the second message that you get, that explains that they want the hookup and not something else. Um, where it's like, um, I don't mind if people are. I just want it being disclosed. Like I think the only problem that that results out of it is if you're purposely not clarifying that, as long just to reach your goal. And that can be a point that can be, first of all, getting you into a quite dangerous position, as well as um, as well as, well, it can fuck you up psychologically a little bit, or a lot of bit, depending on who you are and how you handle social interaction. I mean, I've heard of people that were like very very upset from one person laughing at them in like a couple of months. um I personally am thankfully somebody who does not mind it to the point where I would have problems, for example, with going out or stuff like that. I don't know, I think sometimes I try to just laugh with the person, and just make it less awkward, I guess. But in reality, like I never think it's funny at all if somebody, for example, just starts bursting up and yells to their friend, "Ha, I told you." It's like when there was like this dick who just freaking passed me on the street, like walking past me, and I've heard them talk about, wow, that at first they were talking like, wow, that chick is walking a little bit weird, or like looking a little bit weird. And then he walks past me, and he starts yelling to his friend that's a little bit in the back, like, "Ah, I told you." And I was just like, God damn it, thank you, thank you so much, because that also, like, it was like in the middle of like the street, and suddenly people start looking at you and staring at you, and it's like, yeah, thank you. I was like, kind of pain. Oh, whoa. Oh, you were with somebody that, how is that called? I guess it's a masochist when he likes pain. It was, damn, in that area. That's a tough one. Um, yeah, I think I could not do that at all. Um, I don't know, neither from a standpoint of like, of how to word that, neither from a standpoint of giving that to somebody, and especially not taking it. Like I had like a boyfriend once that just like was totally into being the very dominant side of it, and wanted to constantly just make me his submissive little plaything or some shit like that. That even got told that constantly, and that I could not vibe with that. I got hit by a flogger like once or twice, and I was like, God damn it! Like Jesus, no, oh Jesus, full power kicks and punches there. Ooh. I've never heard of anybody that wants to literally be kicked and punched into the groin area, but well, that is that is not something I could imagine doing in any sort of way. Jesus Christ. um, like I personally, I cannot really say if I'm submissive in that aspect. It's not really a topic I was ever really like thinking about that much. I just honestly, that was not really disclosed beforehand at all, and I just kind of stumbled into it a little bit. Jesus Christ, I could not imagine like that is also quite an unhealthy thing to do, you know. Like, I mean, I kicked people in the groin area before, but not for sexual pleasure for them. I've had one dude who just like started like grabbing my shoulder and just like pushing, like kind of pulling me, and it was like this really dark sort of park. In the middle of the night, and he was like, yeah, now I'm gonna come on here behind this tree, I want to show you something, come on. And I was just like, I swear to God, I usually am like the most pacifistic person you can think of. I hope that's a word in English. I only know that in German, to be honest. I'm a pacifist. Yeah, that's the way to say it. I think. I hate harming people. I think that's the worst thing for me. But at the same time, like when you really feel endangered for your own personal health and safety, then you really have to like um, uh, take take steps into the right direction, or else it will definitely harm you in some way. And so yeah, I totally just he kicked this dude, and he just like went down very quickly. Um, like that's also very effective. Like, or let's just go for that area. Like if you have some really weird perv that is maybe gonna do something to you, like either the eyes or the freaking groin are the only areas that really like make them understand. Or like this part here, like just like straight up into the freaking neck. But I don't want to talk about that in any way. Like I know what I'm talking about that well. I just like from what I had to do to defend myself, those things always worked at least. Whereas, for example, if you start punching into the face or something like that, if you have bad luck, you're just making the other person more angry, and that can can key into very problematic things, because yeah, well, you never know what the other person is running around with, like if there is stuff like knives or even guns involved. Thankfully in Europe we do not have gun violence that much, but yeah, every second street gangster is carrying a knife, so it's not like you're not confronted with weaponry at all, and you have to expect that if somebody is willing to basically draw you back behind a tree and like try to like just do what they want with you, they will not stop at that. And so you just basically, you never want to like be in a prolonged fight anyway, so you just want to really like give yourself an opening to run. So that's why those areas just work. Everything that just like kind of stuns the person, I guess. Being too graphic. God. Oh my God. That sounds like so graphic too. Jesus. That I have respect for you sticking with that. At that point, I would have been like, "Oh, damn, dude, I'm out the door." I just could not do that, especially not if I like the person. It would feel so painful to me. Like I've had a girlfriend that just like was very much into like BDSM and stuff like that. And while I personally do not vibe with that as much, and so sometimes it got really weird when I don't know. I like I said, I hate harming people. So every time I got kind of forced into like doing spankings or shit like that, I'm like personally not vibing with that at all. And yeah, I swear, I just felt bad for it. Honestly, like I did not get anything out of it besides feeling bad for the person and like kind of wanting to help them. But yeah, totally. As you say, like I think um, love can be a really big determining factor in that makes you do things that you usually would not. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to hit you. Like, why do you make me? Like, literally, I like being nice and calm and just like having a peaceful chill time. And that other person just like introduced me what a vlogger even is because I did not even know that. Yeah, right. Like, why is nobody okay with just snuggling? That way you also don't experience dysphoria for anything. That's like personally for me that's like way more awesome too. But everybody vibes in a different way. Also, I want to mention, while talking, we built quite a little bit of our ship. We had our bottom side finished now completely, basically. So as you can see, we have a lot of these like very long plates and wing pieces. I very much like the way this angle forms up front. I think the front side of this build is actually the most awesome in terms of how it looks. Um, and now we are adding more detailing up here. So let me just see where we actually fitting this. Just need to make sure I actually have this on the right side. So this is turned around. Sorry, I just have to turn it to me for a second. So this is where I need to place this. That makes no sense, but okay. Apparently this goes into here. Alright. I see that's like the TIE fighter launching ramp, I guess. Oh damn. So I think that's awesome. Like when somebody asks for permission for those things and like is very much okay with it. I think that's awesome. I think um, women who are more on the dominant side in their life in general, like a little bit more of a leader figurine. I think I look up to even. I love that. I think it's awesome. Honestly, um, I I personally would not be great with that. I think because like I said, I don't like pain. I don't want to get hurt by people, but yeah, I could imagine that had to be hard if you're not too much into it. Yeah, it totally. Uh, I think some people gave me that weird as argument where they were telling me like, yeah, it takes the excitement and the fun out of it if I would ask for your permission right now. So I'm just gonna do that, even though we have never talked about that. We have never even like went into that direction also, but it drives away the passion. And then I'm like, no, it literally drives away the passion when you just literally start hitting me. That's the point where I switch from trying to be nice for my partner to trying to defend myself from a freaking attack. Yeah, exactly. Like without asking, it's literally just I don't know. I feel a little bit like it's a bit rapey from the other person. It's just like, yeah, come here, I like drag you down to do weird ass things from while you're standing or shit like that. I'm sorry for cursing. I swear. Or just always trying to keep cursing to a minimum because, like, especially when you upload this stuff or you have it as a live stream upload on as a VOD on Twitch, they hate when you use any sort of strong language. That's also the only reason why usually I'm not showing the chat on video. Honestly, I thought about it, and I think I actually will start doing it at some point because I just love when people actually can see what the conversation is about. It must be sometimes a little bit weird with just me talking on it, but I'm always trying to like get into the question and point and actually rehearse it a little or like repeat it a little so to make clear what the point is. Because it's I've had people in here who were not posting nice things and who were like using a lot of curse words, which I definitely do not want in my stream. Oh no, I think your messages were totally fine. Like I don't think you posted anything problematic. No, I'm just talking about like slurs and racism and stuff like that. Like I personally think everybody is the same and everybody deserves the same rights and treatment. So it just like it really pisses me off when I have to read stuff like that. And especially I really do not want this sort of thing showing in my stream because well I hate those sort of like opinions, so I don't want to spread them on a video. um oh I've not really banned anybody. I usually like I've just switched my chat to follower only at that point because it negates a lot of that stuff. I'm not like um trying to bait people into subscribing or following in general. um I literally have that measure just because it takes a little bit more of a thought process for the person. I'm terribly sorry. When they have to, when their name gets shown on first, and you actually also know who it was, so you can also like just send that to Twitch theoretically. Um, so it's like kind of a barrier to take for that sort of thing, and I realized that helps a lot actually in negating these sort of like uh, very dumb things that you just don't want to read. Um, I I personally, by the way, do not have any sort of chatbot or anything like that in use. e- Exactly for having the opinion that everybody can write what they want here. I really don't mind if you write, for example, sexual language or stuff like that. I don't mind at all. I really just hate racism, especially and like yeah, everything that goes around with just discriminating people, and like just slurs and stuff like that, where it's like you're just trying to like really insult groups of people. That this is just not okay. um oh, I think you you are the friendly one of the friendliest viewers I have, honestly, Buten. You do not have to contain yourself at all. It's totally fine. From what I've read in chat, I've never seen any problem. Like I'm saying, like I don't mind any of that. I don't mind when even when people write horny bullshit. Like I think that is much less problematic than when I have to read somebody writing like curse words about certain ethnic groups or stuff like that. I think that's just not acceptable at all. Um, I think there is a feature on Twitch chat that you can theoretically activate that negates that, but I've also heard people that have that switched on who are still having the same things coming through, and I think that's just not something that I want to have the possibility of showing on screen or like on camera. So that's the reason why chat is basically deactivated usually. Oh, by the way, there is just to show you, because usually they give you a second one of these anyway, because it's yeah, they give you a second. There is the thermal detonator, which is also used in the UCS 8080, which Luke can place on the bottom side where he blows up the 18080 in the movie. Um, this is a super cool part. It's a very nice print, and also it has this shimmery effect to it. It's very cool, I think. I very much appreciate that you're supporting the stream so much. I feel like so grateful that somebody actually listens to what I'm doing and saying. And like I mentioned before, I think you're a really great person. Like I think we have very similar opinions on a lot of topics, to be honest, which is a great thing to see. Even though don't get me wrong, I love honestly like discussing with people who have different opinions than me too. Um, like not in a fighting way, but just like listening to the opinions of other people and just like um, taking good things away from it can sometimes be such a great thing. Like being open to discourse in general is something that usually can really add to your life, whereas just being closeted off in your own space and just basically never like talking with people who have a different opinion than you can lead to weird personal traits and just can sometimes be problematic to development of your personality. Oh, that's so sweet of you to say. I'm trying to do the Twitch and YouTube hustle a little bit, and I I should really get into like doing YouTube videos. I think I really want to, because I love editing for like a long time. I just sadly the last couple of months I didn't really have that much time, so I wanted to at least do something. So that's why I got into streaming, and also honestly I think streaming is just awesome because you can talk with people. Like when you do a YouTube video, you have the comment section, but talking with people live is just something completely different. I think like it's just awesome to actually interact with people and hear what other people have to say. Like I already mentioned, I love just hearing different opinions and actually discussing them, and not just like having my own opinion that I budge through all the time, because I mean I'm wrong in many ways too, for sure, with some aspects, and I think that's also totally okay, because everybody makes mistakes and everybody is good or even great in their own way, um, it's just um, it's just something to grow upon, I think. And for that, I actually really like Twitch. I also honestly did not start this channel at all for any sort of viewer generation or something like that, but just or like to get a bunch of viewers, just honestly for helping myself become a little bit um more how should I say, let's say become less self-conscious about myself and just more open and used to interacting and speaking in the way I want to look like and how I want to sound like and stuff like that. So I got to say, like, the more I stream, the more I also like get used to like doing my makeup daily and stuff like that. Whereas usually I work from home quite often, and um, when I do work from home, I sometimes have days where I'm just like really having to like do a lot of things, and I'm just not so motivated, to actually do my makeup and stuff like that. But when I stream, I'm always like kind of looking forward to that kind of bit, or already like a lot, just so to basically, I don't know, to have a time where you actually have a reason to justify dressing up a little bit, like not in a way of putting on a disguise, but just like making yourself look nice in a way that you like it and that you want to look like, you know. Oh, that's so sweet of you to say. Thank you so much. It's great that you can see that. Oh, you think? I personally think without makeup I think I'm horrible. But I'm trying to tone it down to, in some aspects, like with concealer, a couple of months I went like overboard all the time, where I'm like from here to here, like just constantly having like a bunch of concealer on. um it's just it feels so heavy on the skin after some time. Like that's the reason I stopped with the most, honestly. Not so much because of the look, because if you blend it in properly, you can't tell that much. It can help you a lot with creating different shadows and effects on it, but it feels heavy, it feels unnatural, and it's just it does not feel right to a certain point if you do too much, um, I think it's like super fun to do like a little bit of concealer, like on the around the eyes, for example. I use like uh, a sort of this rosé tone to brighten it a bit, just because like if you brighten up your eyes a bit, it really like helps you with getting a little bit more of a feminine look to it. And also like doing your eyebrows is like plucking your eyebrows is like so freaking effective. Like if you look at one of my first videos, you can see how I still have like really thick eyebrows. And a couple of weeks ago, or like days ago, I think, I plucked them completely, for the first time, like to the point where it's like, I don't know, like half the size of what I usually have, and I can for myself tell that it just looks a little bit more feminine, and for myself that always gives me a huge confidence boost when I feel like I I start looking more like I want to look like. Oh, thank you so much for saying that. That's so sweet of you. I'm sure you're a super pretty girl. Like seriously. That's like really, really sweet of you to say. I honestly very much appreciate it. Oh, I can tell that you're honest. I can tell you are just um I don't think you just want to be nice. I very much appreciate that you're actually saying that and that you mean it. Um it's it's honestly, for me personally, I will always have some struggle with it, but um the it's not only the getting told part, but just the practice over time, like by just living in the way that you actually want to live in, just brings you so much cheer that you're just accepting it too. Like I gotta say, like when I first started um just like going out as the woman that I feel like I am, I I swear, like I was like so scary of some parts. Like I think, I don't know if you know him. It is not really fitting for a transgender argument, but because he doesn't identify as that. But I love watching Finn stuff. Yeah, because he's a hilarious character, and I also do not think at all that he's bad for the transgender scene. in any way, but more like actually like somebody who personally for me helped me a lot by just like getting my confidence for going out as who I am, and not just like waiting on, for example, in the beginning I was like set on doing HRT first and getting like operations and stuff before even like going into public, because I was just so scared and like so conscious about myself. Whereas by now I'm like so much different in that aspect, just from like seeing that it's okay and that you can do it and that it's not um that you're not just like pretending anything, and you're actually like capable of being the way that you are, and just like working on that and realizing that is something that actually he helped me with more than a lot of the transgender YouTubers that I usually um like watching for different reasons. So because it's kind of like, I don't know, most people in the transgender community um are always just focusing a lot on negativity and like just this very very perfect passing and all of this sort of stuff, whereas I think that is not really the important thing that we should just be focused about. I think um trying to find like positivity and like actually motivation for it, and appreciating yourself in the way that you live like is like way more important, and just like being okay with yourself, like who you are and how you are. Oh cool, by now we're doing the guns. So we placed this little dining table here. I did not put any stickers on, like I mentioned. I don't know where the sticker sheet is. Um, but we will find it before the next step of the build, because this is for now I'm only finishing step 7 anyway. I think it's so cute with the little coffee mug. And besides that, uh, we had the interior put in a little bit. So we have these sort of little boxes up here which have some accessories like the thermal detonator. And we already put up the first piece of sidewalls paneling for decorative purposes. And next up are the turrets which have to be placed. I didn't even realize I'm streaming for like 3 hours today already. I think it's so cool. Oh yeah, that can be super annoying. That can be very much a terrible thing to experience. Yeah, totally. I have to say, like, I enjoy this so much. Just like, um, not for any other reason than just for the human interaction of it. Honestly, like, I love Lego, but this is basically just like um sort of a nice occupation for me, because um, I don't really have a way to stream video games at the moment. So I thought, what is the next best thing I can do, which is building Lego, which is something I really love. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Lego. um, but streaming in general, I honestly only started because I love the human interaction, and especially um, when you can discuss with people. Um, doesn't matter if they have the same opinion as you, but as long as they're respectful, it's always an awesome and interesting thing to do. I'm so glad that you say that. I was hoping that it is at least kind of enjoyable to watch. I also tried to like switch it up a bit, and by now I'm using a different camera layout to a certain degree, because I realized I had like a camera like into this direction, and like having it put like very high, and use a webcam for the second camera, which always like made the image like look a little bit weird and not sharp at all. um and by the way, I'm using like 2 or 3 lights around me just to like get it properly to some extent, and it still like was not able to really use it at all to get a normal looking picture, even though it you could expect it to. So yeah, by now, I hope in terms of quality it feels a bit better. This is done with regular cameras by now. um, by the way, do you appreciate this sort of top-down look for the actual building of it? I would be very curious, honestly. Or did you like it better as it was before, with like just me holding it into the camera then at some point? Yeah, right. I also thought that was like my main point for trying to change it a bit. Just like I felt like the parts themselves were just not visible that well, and it was just always a little bit of a struggle to do that. And especially when for these sort of videos, I guess it's one of the most important things, probably, like for people that want to watch the Lego build to actually see the parts properly. So yeah, I got to say, I think this is, for me personally, it's a little bit more comfy because it doesn't show so much of my body. Not that I mind showing my body. I like to post Instagram pictures and stuff like that where I don't just do face. But for streaming, it's just you always have to be like so conscious about what you do. Especially, I sometimes like to wear pretty short dresses or skirts that are just not something that I ever would like to show a camera. You know. Also, I tried to like enlarge the building instructions a bit and like make that a bit more visible this time, so that it's actually like something you can view as well, and you see what is being done at the moment. I hope that's actually visible on screen too, because that's something that is a little bit hard to display because I cannot zoom in too much because Mac is a little bit weird in that aspect. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like, once you wear a very short skirt, you're just always so conscious about it, and it's like I don't feel well with just like sitting in certain ways, especially like when you go to uni with like that. You have to be so conscious. That's why I say like just dark cut off leggings, for example, are just great for wearing underneath. Like just black or navy blue leggings, for example, that you just cut by, at the upper thigh or somewhere like that. Or just get shorts would even be the better decision, probably. Sorry, I didn't even think that far. Yeah, exactly. Depending how you how you walk, that can definitely happen. And then it, but for that it really helps to just like have like a short underneath of your skirt, then usually that doesn't happen at all. But at the same time, I got to say that that's taking away a little bit of the awesome point about actually wearing a dress or a skirt, because it's just like so much more comfy in terms of wearing, because it's like more airy and less like restricting than when you just wear pants. I also gotta say, like, I don't even really have that many pants anymore. I kind of like got rid of quite a bunch of stuff by now. I think like 99% of my, or like 95% of my wardrobe are just like literally female clothes. I just have kept like the really comfy hoodies and stuff like that I just like really don't care for. For buying new, where it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter because it's completely oversized anyway. You can't see anything in it no matter what I'm wearing. Yeah, totally, I know what you mean. Like, it does not really matter for the size of that. I think like any size you can see if you do not know how to conceal that properly, and how to like wear things properly. But um it honestly it can also be like really uncomfortable at some points if you wear the wrong thing. um but that's something that just comes as a side effect of it, and that's also the points when I'm the most dysphoric about myself, and I'm like, I just really wish I would not be built like that, I just wish I would be a woman biologically. Like that's usually also what always gets me the most. Like when I can tell that like something like that shows on your skirt or something like that, and it's like, oh, I'm sure you know this struggle. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's just not even too big. Just like it shows, and you have like an imprint on. Well, I don't wear pants, but yeah, if you wear, for example, pants, it's definitely well, it's definitely something that can be even more visible. But honestly, I think for other people it's not even that obvious. If you're like really passing besides that, it's something that some people will look at, but not that many people just literally constantly stare you in your crotch, for example. um, but it's just something that for me at least, it's something I am very conscious about. Then and because of me being very conscious about it, it immediately also draws in more attention to it. Maybe if you're giving it more attention, in terms of for example how you walk, or how you constantly like are trying to fix your skirt or stuff like that, just so that it just really has no chance of showing. So it's just, yeah, it's a lot about the way that you yourself act about it, for how other people perceive it. I feel like we've built the side paneling here for the front side. We also did the turret section up here and here. Yes. Okay. So it's basically this little Technic build that is being put into here, and then in the middle of it we have our, oh, how was this turned this way? In the middle of it we have our decorative side paneling too. Hmm. Okay, so the grill side is up front. Okay, cool. Making good progress. I know which feeling you're talking about, when you just, because of your own consciousness about that fact, it's like you feel like everybody's suddenly and constantly staring at you. Um, I totally know what you mean. Like it's just, it does not feel right at all. Um, I already had like this sort of anxiety for going out when I was just presenting as male. Um, and I just always had the feeling everybody's just staring at me. And um, it's something actually like that toned down a little bit since I outed myself. But at the same time, now I realize that some people are actually staring at a little more. So that switched a bit big, because when earlier times I actually just imagined it, and nobody actually cared at all, whereas now some people are actually looking a bit weird, and like sometimes are shouting stuff. But yeah, that's that for. But my own consciousness about it has dropped a ton, is at least in terms of how people perceive me. Like I've had this uni lesson the other time. Well, it was not a lesson; it was an exam actually. Um, and I was one of the, the last people because, well, I'm a bit clumsy when it comes to time. As you can see, how inconsistent my streaming schedule sometimes sadly is. Um, but yeah, that went that led me to having the to experience walking into like this sort of, in uni when there's like, I don't know, 50 rows, and all of them are like stacked upon each other like a with staircase up to walk up, and I swear to God, I walk in there and there's like 150 people just staring into the freaking like door for some weird reason, just because all of them like wait for the professor to finally arrive. And even there, I was not like just completely falling back into my cringy mode of being, oh no, oh no, oh no. Even there I was like, yeah, it does not matter that much. I was already looked like a weird a bunch of times beforehand. Just might as well just don't care about it. And that's like the difference it brings me. It's just, I don't know, it helped me with overcoming overcoming this fear of people a little bit, for no other reason than just being looked at. All right, so we're doing the second paneling now. Should be visible. So the next step are the turrets on this side. So I will just show the build once into the camera, maybe, so that we have this actually shown on video too. Jesus, my voice just sounds so husky at this point. I'm sorry. Oh, man. I did not expect to actually stream for so long, but I like enjoyed it so much that I just kept going, honestly, and I'm very glad so, because I think we've had some really awesome discussions today. Oh, thank you so much for saying that. I I know there's like a lot of problems with it still, so it really helps me when somebody tells me that. The random squeak, yeah, I swear to God, I sound like I'm just like in puberty again. Which honestly is the one thing I really wish that HRT really would do. Like, in brightening up your voice is just the one thing I would actually really want from it. And um, it's certainly the only thing that you can really only reach by practice. But also that was the thing that showed me, like, you don't need HRT to pass at all, because, like, besides like getting a little bit nicer cheekbones, like, I know my cheeks are like totally bony, but um besides like getting cheekbones, and actually having breast development, there is not that much in terms of changes that are visible to others. It's totally visible to you because it's your body, you live with it every day, and it's just different. But at the same time, it's it's something to work on, that you don't need any outside help with, besides maybe voice lessons. And it's also the one thing that you really need to practice the longest too. So for yourself, I think it's a huge thing, and especially like the emotions that you can feel in a different way to a certain degree, from what I've heard from people, are also like a very positive aspect, I think, for me, because um I think it's nice to be an emotionally diverse person, and not just, I don't know, I just heard heard positive things about that aspect in general. It's just a, a big step that I'm kind of still debating to a certain point, but I know that I really want it, so I'm sure I will get to it at some point. It's also the place that I live in is kind of a long process, honestly. Like I'm in therapy for quite some time by now, and it just it takes and it takes, and you feel like not that much is really continuing because I'm still like arguing about um about it with my psychiatrist to a certain point. So it's like kind of a, the sort of thing where it's like um you have to like prove so many people that you're actually wanting this, and you're like, by the way, sorry, I'm switching my camera back on because it turned into into standby mode after 3 hours apparently. Oh no, my battery is exhausted. Oh. Well, that's a great point. I did not know that actually is a thing. So yeah, Sony cameras don't last that long. Yeah, well, might as well just talk and we finish the rest of this build the next time. Um, so then I'm just gonna switch it to the auto. Just a second. So, um, um, I gotta say I've heard some problematic things about like getting estrogen in general for in a lot of countries. It's kind of a hassle, right? Which is super frustrating because it's I mean I understand why it's there is a sort of um, a barrier that you have to implement um, before people can get it, because it's just by the way, I'm just gonna put together the last couple of parts from this step because it's literally just mirrored to the other side anyway. Otherwise, I'm just gonna lose something again, like the sticker sheet that I just lost somewhere. Whereas I understand that you want to keep people from over rushing that step and like maybe do it too early and when they maybe should not be doing it at that point. But at the same time, sometimes it feels like it is very very restrictive, and it can be quite frustrating too, I feel like. By the way, I think I didn't even show the is this the right thing? Oh, wait a moment, I'm on the webcam setting. Yeah, this should be the better quality. um so this is the actual turret part, just so I mention it quickly. On the most unprofessional way just into the webcam. I'm so much super religious. If I say you're fine, and you're fine, guys. Oh, oh, that is dangerous. I've had a psychiatrist like that too, which was like, yeah, you can treat this. You can treat this with different sorts of psychological medicines or stuff like that. And I was like, what the fuck? Yes, no, you like there is a very large consensus in like the medical community from what I've read up on this, because I love doing research on this topic. I've done like so many years of research on on the topic of being transgender, because I was just always like kind of knowing myself that I was, but I just didn't want to like tell it to myself, you know. So I've read a lot of these opinions where it's like you can't change that. You are that way. That's like telling a person that's gay that there is a way to just convert them into being straight or some bullshit like that. It's just not how that works. And it's like if somebody really wants to restrict you from stuff that you know you want for your own personal health and safety, like for example, um, if it really helps you with seeing yourself in the light in the right light, um, then for example taking HRT can be a huge and important step for you. And if somebody just wants to keep you from it for religious reasons or stuff like that in general, it's just nah, thanks. Is it that must be frustrating too. I know that point because, like I said, I'm still at arguing with my psychiatrist about doing this the right way. So it's like, oh my god, um, sometimes it feels like so restrictive, to the point where it's the same argument as asking, as for example, if you ask a straight dude, um, how do you know you do not like sex with men, then they will also just tell you, well, I know. And so that's the same thing that I can say about being a woman. I just know that I am one. It's not something that you need to freaking like find out in I don't know how many therapy sessions. I know that for a long time, and that's not something that anybody else can really like say about you, because like, you know, it's just something that is is is, is how you are. You just can't change yourself. Like, trust me, I've tried to change myself like multiple times and just be okay with like different steps, not as large as actually transitioning, but well, I can tell you from personal experience, it just does not work. That makes you feel this way, not you. Next question. Yeah. Nice one. I swear. Alrighty, last couple of parts. You can maybe see the doom scrolling I'm doing with the instruction manual on step number 335. I think we've built like nearly 200 steps today too, um, which is super awesome. I'm so happy that we got to spend some time on this stream. It was actually really like the most fun I had all day. But you can see I'm just not doing anything important. I'm just doing like the side pieces. Like that's the only new piece that we are still adding to the build. I'm just gonna hold this into the camera really quick. So we just have done the second side here of the turret section. Jesus, I'm orange in this light. Dude, I saw you out here dry as fuck for that. Give it a shot. I swear, that's just really great. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, this thing is huge. This is taking up way too much table space. I did kind of expect this to be a little bit smaller. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to complain, but I also gotta say, like, I've heard a lot of critique about this set being like, um, not to scale. I still agree with that statement, but I think in live view it looks a little bit different. On camera, it always looks like the bad side is just way too chunky in comparison. Where it's uh, in real life, it looks at least better. Maybe it's also because I left off the stickers from the bridge. I think the stickers they are putting on the bridge are kind of the wrong scale anyway. So yeah, I'm not trying to justify not putting them on. I will try to find them because I usually put them on all the time. But at the same time, I just want to say I kind of like the look. All right, there's this side piece that we have constructed, and that's also the last part I'm gonna do today. Like this and the other side, I'm just gonna mirror it to the other one too, which is like the top side decoration on the front. Yeah, totally. The, that's true. Like I do not expect Lego to be completely to scale. So I always am like forgiving it that aspect like a lot more than I would be like in terms of I love, for example, plastic model building in general, or like wooden model building. I've loved building like this intricate, like kind of big, like meter long wooden ships that you actually like do the planking and everything with these really small, tiny little wooden boards yourself. It can be so much fun. But there, I'm like very much into detailing, and if something's not to scale, there I'm like actually really critical. Whereas with Lego, I'm like, how much can you do with this sort of building bricks? I'm often like very pleasantly surprised what they can deliver with it, especially thinking about the fact that Lego instruction manuals, in comparison to others, are the ones, in my opinion, which are usually built in a way that they fit the best in terms of being rigid. Being rigid enough to be used, for example, as a playset, as this one here is, for example. I mean, I can just literally pick this up and just swoosh it around if I want to. Um, I've had more, especially like building block models from different manufacturers, where that definitely is not the case, and you will definitely break something off the moment you just touch it. There are Lego sets which are the same, but usually these are just like the 18 plus collectors sets that are in a shelf anyway. Like I think um, putting this thing up the shelf in the shelf would probably even look kind of cool too, but it's made as a playset, so you can tell that they had to cut some corners in some ways just to like make it more rigid, and I totally understand it. Oh, that's so sweet of you to say. I like I say, the more people um, we are, the more awesome it is. But I'm honestly happy even if I'm just streaming for one person. Like I just enjoy like this awesome positive vibes that this gives off. Like I just really appreciate like being able to talk a little bit about what's on my mind, and like hear how people are, and like how they feel. Like I don't know, I'm a rather empathetic person, I've always been, and it's just great to connect with people. It's just really awesome. I really appreciate that. Alrighty, so in terms of our build, we are now finished with it for today, at least, because it's 2:30 in the night, and I probably should go to bed at some point. But yeah, well, also my camera just literally died on me, which has not happened before. So good to have learned that too. Um, I didn't even know that was possible. Yeah, also, as you can tell, my voice is just cracking up. Jesus, I can hear it. I don't even have a sound monitor, and I can hear how terrible that sounds like by now. So, yeah, I think we're going to call it quits for today. So, we are finishing it the next stream around. But first, let me just show you a little bit of what we have built today. So, yeah, we have nearly finished this already anyway. Um, so the front sides of it completely, up from back here up to here, are just completely new. The tops were the only things that I could not show properly, because the camera was sadly away already. But yeah, you can see it now. It's just like this paneling being done. It's nothing important. And the biggest thing that we've done was actually the engine compartment here, with all these build up here. As I mentioned, I feel like the engines are a little bit too small in comparison to the bridge, but I think it still looks really cool. I like the greebling in the back, like here, this bit. These bits just look really cool, like beside the engines, and also this sort of angle that it takes. All right, so let's put this away before I just drop it, because I already made like this movement and I could feel it slip a bit. So would that be hilarious? I just spent 3 hours building something and then 5 seconds destroying it again. That's the circle of life. Oh my god. Now, thankfully, that worked out better than I feared at first. Um, Also, I guess I'm gonna skip the review section for today. I'm gonna do that the next time around when I'm actually finishing the build and can talk about it in more detail, and also maybe show it a little bit, because right now I'm just talking into a camera without anything else. Yeah, I'm gonna get some rest. Thank you so much. Putin, I very much appreciate that you've stuck around for literally 3 hours and 30 minutes nearly. It was a great time to be had for me. I very much enjoyed our conversations today. And also, if anybody actually watches this on YouTube, thank you so much for watching too. I always very much am happy for anybody who I can actually make brighten the day with my content. That's my main goal, is just like to like enjoy the time we can spend on here, and to maybe like make the day better for at least one person, you know. Alrighty. So thank you so much for being part of today's stream. And I'm very much looking forward to doing my next stream. I will try to do it. So I mean, it's already Saturday, so I cannot say tomorrow, but you know what I mean. I'm going to try to stream a couple more hours this weekend, just because I'm quite motivated. When my camera is not charged up back again. Oh, thank you so much. That's so sweet to read. Oh, it always brightens up my day to read from you. Alrighty, so I wish you a wonderful evening. Have a great day, and see you guys soon. All the best greetings to all the girls and boys who actually are watching this. Good evening. Goodbye.